This is scattering electron microscopy. An electron microscopy, this is the simplest technique and quick technique which you can use for knowing the grain size of the material, the distribution of different morphologies there, but it doesn't have the facility of electron diffraction, so you don't know about the actual phase present. But what you can do, you put the sample here, this is the pore size, and this is the electron gun, this is the elemental detector, people call it energy dispersio, ADS, right? As energy dispersio spectrometer, which is actually the energy dispersio X-ray electron spectroscopy, because the main thing is electron here, right? The beam.
So EDX also.
Yeah, the same thing.
Elemental analysis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you focus the beam onto the sample, right? Those electrons are scattered. Two types of electrons, I will say. Many scattering events occur, but we only get information from those for whom we have a detector. So if we have a secondary electron detector, then we detect only secondary electrons, and those secondary electrons are scattered or projected here, and they are converted into an image. If we have a backscattered electron detector, then we have the backscattered image as well. Backscattered image gives you the compositional contrast. When you have different materials, their contrast will be different in the image. But if we have the secondary electron detector only, then we have morphological contrast, right? We only see the differences in morphology. When you do XRD at the sample, it gives you phase analysis. Here you bring the sample and focus the beam here and determine its elemental composition. If you are experienced, ordinary student shouldn't do it, but if you are experienced, then the ratio of the element present here will match with the phases in XRD, and you can roughly say, I am telling you again and again, right, that this corresponds to that phase, right? And you can, it's up to 4 nanometer resolution, and this is coarse focus, magnification is here, so you can resolve grains, never say crystals, because SEM never tells you about crystallography. It has no diffraction technique in it.
Only grain size and shape and composition.
Yeah, grain size, morphology,
Elemental analysis.
and elemental analysis,
Same
right?
previously,
And
carbon
are
coating or gold coating.
Both are used when you are interested in chemical analysis, then people do carbon coating.
Okay.
If you are interested in contrast analysis, then gold coating is considered better, right? Because the electron beam gathers electron there.
Aşağıda thermal evaporator gold coating. Actually time there like.
And it is the simple assembly that they are giving you peaks.
Crystallography.
These peaks, when they are nearer to the zero, this means the interplanar spacings are longer or larger. When you move away from here, then the interplanar spacing decrease, because it gives you the reciprocal of the direct spacings, right? So reciprocality means that increase in angle decreases the size, right?
Yeah, crystallite size, Scherer equation.
A Scherer equation is used, and different stress analysis is used for all these things. This is a universal testing machine. You put the sample, you grip it here, and then you drop down the force upon it, and how much bending strength this material has. This is also a coater. The main problem in this machine is that you are using an electron beam coming from the top, and the sample holder is here. The sample is here placed like this. You can tilt it this way, if you have a double tip holder. And it needs extremely high vacuum. So even a small fiber, when you look into the light and you see small fiber, they are entered here, the machine stops working, right? So usually when you are entering the sample holder, you take every care that it is completely clean. People use gloves, disposable gloves to hold the sample holder and these things. These are various apertures. The electron beam is coming from the top. Electromagnetic lenses focus the beam onto the sample, right? Through these apertures, you exclude the unwanted electron beams. Only you leave the central one, and that which is passes through the sample, transmit to the sample, and you get here the projected image. If I hold my hand here, so all the electrons which are stopped, they make a shadow of that is the image. And you can go up to 1.7 angstrom resolution with this machine, and you can do the diffraction pattern with it. You can know about the different directions, zone axes of the crystal. If the longer axis is, for example, 100, it is the A lattice parameter. The shorter axis is 010 or 001, whichever dimension it is. So you exactly find that what is the length of the crystal, what is the width of the crystal, and if you are fortunate and find the lowest possible zone axis, then you can measure the lattice parameters. ABC people measure it, even if they are not going to the lowest zone axis, but all these techniques are complementary. Basically, in the diffraction pattern, for magnification calibration, you use gold film,
Okay.
and the interplanar spacings are known there. So when you take an image, right, from the image you have distances in centimeters, and the actual distances are there in angstroms. So you calibrate the machine that these many centimeters are equivalent to these many angstroms. Then when you put an unknown sample, then you say that if this is 2 centimeter, this means it is 3 angstrom or 4 angstrom. That is the calibration of image. In the diffraction calibration, you put a known sample there and measure the D spacings there. You know the D spacing. When you know the D spacing, then lambda L is equal to 2D sine theta.
Yes.
No. Lambda L is equal to RD. RD is the reciprocal lattice space. R is the reciprocal lattice space. D is the interplanar spacing. The sample is known. When the sample is known, D is known. R you measure from the diffraction pattern. You measure both. Lambda L is equal to RD. Once you know lambda L, then you put an unknown sample, measure R's, reciprocal lattice vectors, and you will determine D from there. And D will be interplanar spacing of that sample. And interplanar spacing is the lattice parameter. If you are there, what you call lowest zone axis, right? We have also a detector here, and you select a nano region, and you can measure the chemistry, the chemical composition. Again, it is elemental composition, and you convert it into oxides for your calculation purposes. So you can here know that which crystal corresponds to which phase. But as I told you, the sample holder is this tip, right? It is the space at the end. It is a space for 3 millimeter disc. If it is slightly above or below 3 millimeter, it will either drop or it will not fit there, right? And the middle, very small space area is 20 nanometer. So if you are interested in knowing the composition of a mine, and you take 3 millimeter disc, and then from 3 millimeter disc you got the dimple, and in the dimple there is a small area of 20 nanometer. Can it represent that? newer. That is the shortcoming of this technique, and that is why you need to do XRD, scanning electron microscopy, and other techniques to complement that.
So the main problem is the sample size.
The sample size, it is very small. So people usually, for example, an expert professor will tell you study okay at least 3 sample, at least 5 sample, but this sample preparation takes sometimes a month, so it is not easy, right? So you have to rely on other techniques and use this technique to know about the orientation of the crystals, the dimensions of the zone axes of the crystals, and all these things. You can measure the nano domains with it, because some materials are ferroelectric, some are magnetic, and you can measure the nanoscale domains inside the samples which change the properties of the materials.
ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट जो है ना,
इसमें इलेक्ट्रॉन इस सेक्शन
ये पाकिस्तान में
इसमें वो
बहुत चल रही है,
सेक्शन
कोई 4-5 में।
सेक्शनिंग से पहले आपने इसके 3 सेक्शन बनाने सैंपल अगर आपको
सैंपल की डायमीटर कितनी होनी चाहिए?
3 millimeter. 3 millimeter.
सेक्शन की डायमीटर
3 millimeter. Because above or below doesn't fit there. I worked a lot on these sample preparation things. When you are interested in knowing about the edges, I used to fix the 2 Ds of samples. I got 2 Ds from the samples, right? Cut it in the middle, then reverse it, and then
Microscopically you cut it, huh?
yeah. Then you look into the edges in the center, because here you study only the dimpled area. There are other techniques of sample preparation. You make powder, and there are carbon coated copper grids. You drop, mix powder a little bit in acetone, then pick with tweezer or anything a drop of that and put on the copper grid, and small bits of sample are stuck there, and you take them to microscope. But that is dangerous for the microscope as well, because if those particles drop inside the machine, then it affects the vacuum of the
Like
system.
in SEM, can we fix? We can fix, I think, like in SEM.
In SEM we can do many things, but
Yeah.
here the space is
वहाँ पे
very
आपके पास
restricted.
इतना बड़ा स्टेज है, आप स्पेसिफिक को जिस तरह घुमाएं घुमा सकते
Yeah.
हैं। यहाँ पे आपके पास जो थिकनेस है
हाँ.
वो आप 1 mm भी इवन के नहीं कर
नहीं
सकते।
वो तो है, लेकिन सर जो कह रहा है ना, जो ड्रॉप मेथड से
हाँ.
लोग करते हैं, मतलब तो उसको फिक्स करते हैं उसके साथ।
जी जी।
मतलब है कि
No, it is not that sort of drop. You put a very small amount of
Yeah,
powder in a beaker, then you shake it very well, usually with ultrasonic bar,
Yes, yes.
right? Then you pick a very fine drop and drop it on the copper grid and dry it, right? If you are fortunate, you will get something area there. If you are not fortunate, then you will have to try again and again, because it is just trial and error. Another technique people use, they fix the sample on a copper ring, and that copper ring support the sample, and you grind it a lot, so that makes the sample homogeneously thin, right? But I took months on some sample preparation, and in some days, I remember when I did my PhD, I had a consultancy, and I made 35 samples in 1 month. Day and night I used to be working. All the processes are under your control, but when you are using iron thinner, then the argon iron skipping, it is not under your control. If the sample is a little bit thick, then it takes days by skipping that surface. And if by chance you get a quartz crystal, then the quartz crystal take even a month to grind up to that level. But if you have sulfur sample, then it can be done in an hour or 2. So you can't say, it is experience. So microscopy is a skill as well, in addition to science. And usually people say that where is physics in this, right? We always face these questions, that you took the image, where is physics in it? The electron beam is controlled by the Schrodinger wave equation. And Schrodinger wave equation is the what you call the vertebral column of quantum mechanics,
Basic
right?
of physics.
Yeah. So when people don't know quantum mechanics, they can't understand electron microscope image, and particularly nowadays the high resolution electron microscope image simulations and all these things. Because if you can't simulate something, you can't know the exact form of bonding and things there. But you get an image, then you simulate it. So you combine theory with the experiment, and that solves the problem.
Yes, sir.
So
So actually in our field we were using it for the sometimes like the ACM image. We
Yeah.
can't see like the material if we implant it. So our body cell interaction with the material.
Yeah.
So with different protein channels. So
Yeah.
then we were vertically cut the sample
Yeah.
and then we were checking the interaction of a cell with the material
Yeah.
like the TEM.
Yeah, well, it changed the interface.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the interface changes can be
So
observed.
in a single image like the cell connection.
But
with the
if they are of scale larger than 4 nanometer,
Yes.
then ACM is excellent.
Yes.
But if they are of angstrom level, then you will need TEM.
Yes.
And making that sort of sample is very difficult
Yes.
when you are interested in that particular, because you will have to switch up one argon ion gun. Secondly, you will dimple sample from one side, right? If you are using the second side, then you will lose the surface.
दूसरा ये कि अगर क्रॉस सेक्शन में आपने देखना है
Yeah,
तो उसकी क्रॉस सेक्शनल कटिंग जो है वो उसके लिए नॉर्मल FIB यूज होता है
yeah.
वो पाकिस्तान में कहीं पे अवेलेबल
हाँ
नहीं
ठीक, क्योंकि हम वाला वो ऑटोमेटिक
It myself, but ultra microtomy is usually used in electron microscopy
है।
lens
सर
part.
अल्ट्रा माइक्रोस्कोपी यूज होती है वो सिर्फ उस कंडीशन में कि आपके मटेरियल जो है ना वो सॉफ्ट हो,
हाँ बिल्कुल.
ह्यूमन टिश्यूज
हाँ।
हैं, लाइव मटेरियल्स हैं या
बिल्कुल।
फिर पॉलीमेरिक मटेरियल, तो उसके लिए अल्ट्रा माइक्रोटोमी
Nano crystalline cellulose.
Yeah. So these are the these fringes
Yes.
are basically telling you that in diffraction pattern you have diffraction spots to measure the R spacing, the reciprocal lattice vector, and here you are directly measuring D spacings, the spacing between different planes of a material, and this shows you that this is a single crystal. But if it is a polycrystalline material, then it will not appear like this. Yeah, show me the diffraction pattern. Yeah. Yeah, look at this.
ये क्या
This is
चीज़
the
है?
reciprocal
ये आपको जो
lattice.
वो ना ब्राइट नजर आ रहा है, ये क्या?
These are the diffracted plane.
Plane.
Each spot, the origin is your choice, where you select the origin, right? And these are the, if you take this hexagon, right? This hexagon, then this is R1, this is R2, this is R3, this is R4, and they are corresponding to the D1.
Yeah, the
These
plane.
are plane.
प्लेन तो है लेकिन प्लेन में
Diffraction.
एटम होते हैं ना?
सेट ऑफ प्लान।
सेट ऑफ एटम्स होते हैं.
नहीं
आपके पास पैरेलल प्लेन है,
हाँ।
वर्टिकल प्लेन है, वो
नहीं, ये जो
उनसे एक ही स्पॉट मिलेगा।
Let me explain
ठीक है,
it.
ठीक है।
You, this is unit cell, this room.
हाँ.
This wall,
Is one plane.
this wall is diffracting a beam and it reaches here. That wall is diffracting a beam and it reaches here. So all the parallel planes, the parallel walls are represented by this single spot.
Okay.
So they are representative of the planes. They have nothing to do with the individual atoms. Right? They are representing the plane. So what you have done, if you take this wall, this wall, this wall, and they are diffracting, and you are giving small spots here, right? In actual reality, the crystal is very small, and you take reciprocal of those planes which appear large. So you are reciprocating the smaller dimensions into larger to become visible and detectable, because you can't see angstrom level things. So the smallest will appear the largest in the reciprocal, and you are basically doing that.
So ये solar cell में फिर ज़्यादा उसका
Solar
हर जगह
cell
पे।
में you can know about that. For example, you have doped a glass, so you can see the dopant within the material, that whether it has gone into the desired site or not. has it been digested by the material, form became the part of the crystal or not, or it is precipitated separately. So you can see all these things with such machines.
नैनो पार्टिकल के लिए भी यूज होता
Yeah.
है और साथ में उसकी जो है ना
Yeah.
जो crystalline
Yeah, can-
ये स्केल है जिसके साथ हम वो कंपेयर करते हैं।
Yeah.
अब देखें ये 50 नैनोमीटर
ये
है।
तकरीबन जो बड़े पार्टिकल हैं ये भी
20 के करीब
20 के
और 15
ये देखो
और
इधर देख लो,
distribution
हेलो
है।
इधर आप लोग देखिए, ये देखिए कितना नैनो साइज का है। इस स्केल के मुताबिक ये सारा स्केल जो है ना 50 नैनोमीटर का है। आप इसके
So people usually when they interpret such images, they look into that and say, for example, one of the particle is 20 nanometer, and they say the particle size was 20 nanometer. But if you look into that image, it ranges from about 5 to 10 nanometer up to 30 nanometer. So I prefer to measure the dimensions of many particles and then say that the range is from here to here, because we will defend it.
ये single
Yeah.
sheet है।
Yeah.
Graphene sheets है।
Graphene, yeah.
ये
Yeah. So these are very thin areas, you see, completely electron transparent, a little bit shaded in comparison to this. So in the electron microscope you have the transmitted beam, and the transmitted beam gives you directly this screen. You see this screen now, right? And wherever the sample comes, it gives you a shade because it is partially transmitted. If that transmission is not there, then you can't see anything. If you go to the darker regions, thicker region, then you will see nothing inside it. So it is totally because of the transmission of the beam. That is why the sample preparation is the most tedious part of electron microscopy. This is also a shortcoming, that the sample preparation is not very easy. Yeah, when you are not skilled, you are not very experienced. Then, and I worked for about 15 years on electron microscopy, and my knowledge is not more than a class 2 or class 3 student in this field. It is so vast field, right? There are many techniques. I told you the simplest one which are used in these machines. It is a complete field, and there are several journals which are published monthly on electron microscope.
Yes.
Ultra microscopy is the popular
Ultra.
journal. Yeah, so it is a very huge field. Yields and different techniques have come in electron microscopy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.